Happy birthday to all the people who have birthdays this month. I thought a great cooking project would be to make some cupcakes. All right, and I have my recipe here, and I have a cool technique that maybe you haven't tried before. I know when we usually make a real cake in our classroom, we mush the butter with the back of the spoon and then add the sugar in. This method is called the reverse creaming method. And what you do is you take all the dry ingredients and add those in first. And then you mix the butter, really soft butter. I've got my butter here. It's super soft. I can squish it really easily. That's what you need your butter to look like for this method. But here's all the ingredients. And we're going to take all the dry ingredients and mix them first. Flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. My friends know when I make things from scratch, I don't like to use a mixer. But sometimes we use the mixer for special occasions. And I think a birthday is a special occasion, don't you? I'm going to get my mixer out. And then we're going to measure all these ingredients. You know what? I don't need my mixer yet, because all I need is the bowl to measure our ingredients. So over here I have flour, sugar, salt, only a little bit of salt, baking soda, that's the one that makes the fizzies and tastes terrible, and baking powder. Now I just need some measuring cups, and I have my measuring cups here. Which one's the biggest? This one, and that's the 1 cup measure. So my flour is 1.5 cups. So I need 1. Okay, I have little marks on the side to show me where halfway up is. So 1.5 cups, and this is a good job for you guys. Yeah, mommy can watch you and or dad or whoever's helping you cook today. There's 1 cup. Now I need half. Okay, so sometimes it's a little tricky, and you have to put a little bit back. And you look for those little lines on the side to tell you when you are halfway up. Okay? And there it is, 1.5 cups. 3/4. Quarters. 4 quarters make a whole. If I have 4 of these, it would make 1 full one. But I only need 3 of these. So I can either count this one 3 times, or I can look for the mark on my measuring cup to show 3/4. Here's my sugar. Help me count. 1, 2, 3. So those are our big ingredients. And we can make some room by moving these out of the way. And then I'll get my measuring spoons out. You can see they come in different sizes too. Some are teaspoons, this one, and some are big. That's a tablespoon. But let's see how much we need. 3/4. Oh, there's that 3/4 again, but not 3/4 cup. 3/4 of 1 of these. So that's a little tricky, but not too tricky for us. We're going to take our teaspoon and fill it 3/4 of the way. So it's not all the way full. It's 3/4 of the way full. And that goes in too. And then our baking soda tastes terrible. 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. So this one's actually measured. It says 1/2 teaspoon. So we can use that all the way to the top. Okay, because that's what I need. And then we need our salt. And if you want a little taste, it's stuck to my pinky. Salty. And guess what? That's all of our dry ingredients. And we can kind of stir those together. Right, now we really will need our mixer. So I'm going to set that up, and then we're going to add our soft, pokey, squeezy butter. Okay? All right, we've got the big equipment out now. This is our stand mixer, and I call it that because you don't just hold it with your hand. Some of you may have that kind of mixer at home, which you can also use for this method. Okay? And just to make sure that everything's mixed together, I'm going to turn it on a little to stir all of our ingredients together. Makes a nice purring sound, doesn't it? Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that soft squeezy butter. This is half a cup of butter. And put it into the whole thing in there. Okay? And we're going to set our mixer on low. And it's going to mix and mix and mix and mix while we stand back and watch the thing. At first, there's a whole bunch of big chunks. But as the mixer goes, the chunks of butter become smaller and smaller and smaller. And just like when we were making our biscuits, if you remember that, we want the whole mixture to look a little bit like coarse cornmeal. And I think we're almost there. Doesn't take very long, does it? So, after we mix in the butter and it's nice and smooth, then we add our wet ingredients, except for the eggs. The eggs are the very last thing that we put in. Okay, so here I say half a cup of yogurt or sour cream, quarter cup milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla, because these are vanilla cupcakes. I happen to have both yogurt and sour cream, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1/4 cup of yogurt and 1/4 cup of sour cream. All right, yogurt and sour cream. Get it nice and smooth on the top. Plop. And sour cream. Get it nice and smooth on the top. And plop. Make some room. Okay. The next thing is a 1/4 cup of milk. This is my 1/4 cup. It's my smallest little scoop. And I'm going to fill it all the way to the top. Careful, don't spill. And that's going to go in as well. And do you remember what kind of cupcakes we're making? Vanilla. Because it smells so good. Ooh, I'm going to put a little perfume on. Now I'm going to smell like sugar cookies all day. And here's my teaspoon of vanilla. Because we want these cupcakes to be special. So we got my wet ingredients in there, everything but the eggs. And I'm going to stir. The last ingredient is egg. Now, this recipe makes a few cupcakes. Oop, my oven's ready. If you wanted to make more cupcakes, you would double this recipe, and instead of 1 egg plus an egg yolk, you would use 3 whole eggs. But I'm using a smaller because there's not too many people in my house now, so I don't need too many cupcakes. So I'm going to use 1 whole egg and add that in there. And now for the tricky part, and this is where your folks might need to help, to get the egg separated from the egg yolk. What I do, carefully crack it around the edge. So I've got 2 halves. And then when I open it so carefully that it stays into the shell. Eek! And it did. Now I don't need the white of the yolk, so that's going to fall into my bowl. but I'm going to pour, tricky, I'm going to pour the ball of the yolk into the other, and the white part, you can see it's going to drip into the bowl. Okay, I did it. There it is. And so that's going to go in there too, because this is the last bit. I'm going to use my spatula to get all the sides nice and clean, because we are almost done. Okay. Ooh, looking nice and smooth. I'm going to stop this here, lift up my batter, and sort of just make sure everything is mixed together. Just another little tiny bit. Now I know we all love to lick the bowl, but you know what? We used real eggs. We didn't use pretend eggs. So guess what? We can't lick the bowl. But I think we're done. Let me take another picture so you can see how smooth and thick the batter is. And we're going to scrape it all off of our little beater here, bowl out, and move this aside to give us more room, because we got to put this in our cupcake pan, right? Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. All right, so because it's a special birthday cupcakes, I got these fancy cupcake liners from the store with a cool pattern on them. And I'm going to use those and put one in each hole of my pan. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to need 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a feeling I got more than 6 cupcakes here. So I have another pan ready. And this pan, I think I'm just going to use cooking spray. Okay, so we are ready. I think a little knife will help me get this. All right, very thick and delicious looking. So I'm going to take some on my spatula and scoop it into the cupcake papers and fill it not all the way, maybe 2/3 full. We're doing a lot of fractions today, which means not a little more than half. That's what 2/3 is. It's not halfway, it's not all the way, it's 2/3 of the way. If we divided a cupcake into 3 equal parts and used 2 of those equal parts, that would make 2/3. So there's our 6. This one maybe need a little tiny bit more, and maybe this one too. And we've got more batter. Lucky I have this other pan. And just remember, because we've got those real eggs in there, we cannot lick all this yummy stuff. But when we make the frosting, guess what? No eggs and frosting. We can lick that. We're ready to go in the oven. All right, they go 20 to 25 minutes in the oven. Start checking around 20 minutes. I use a toothpick, put it in the middle of one of the cupcakes. If it comes out completely clean, your cupcakes are done. Set them out to cool, and when they're completely cool, that's when we make the frosting. All right? Okay, I'm going to go set the timer.
While the cupcakes are baking, we can start making the frosting.
But what are cupcakes without frosting? So frosting, you'll be glad to know, is even easier than making a cake. You don't have to cook it. There are fewer ingredients. And I'm going to use my stand mixer because I like my frosting to be nice and smooth. And another thing that will help it be nice and smooth is this piece of equipment. Does anybody know what that is? If you look inside, you'll see it looks like a screen, like your window screen. And then there's some wires, and there's a little knob so the wires go around and around. This is called a sifter. What it does is it takes any lumps that might be in your flour or your sugar and make them go away. It sends all the big clumps through that wire screen so they get smaller and smaller. So what I'm going to do is I have soft butter again. It's kind of squishy, just like our other one. That goes in our bowl. This is a half cup. So probably make more than enough frosting. And we're going to get that nice and smooth. Okay, wow, that was easy. We're going to take a pinch of salt. Just a tiny bit. Oops, that's too much. Pinchy, and put that in there and mix that together. And then we're going to take our powdered sugar. The other sugar that we used today was granular sugar, and it looked like little pieces of sand. But if you take a look at this sugar, it's very white and very fluffy, kind of like snow. My beater's kind of in the way, so I'm going to take it off my stand mixer so that I can sift the sugar into the... Here's our powdered sugar. Again, I'm not measuring anything, but that was almost a cup. And then as I turn the handle, look, it's snowing! And look how nice and smooth the sugar is, whereas before it was kind of lumpy. So that's why you have a sifter. And after I did it, what's left inside the sifter is just the lumps. This is the fun part. You kids can do this part really well, okay? You can go all the way around, you can go back and forth, you can loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop. And we get lots of nice smooth sugar in the bowl. All right, now that we've got our nice smooth sugar all sifted in there, we can add some vanilla. Boop. Again, can't go wrong with vanilla. And I'm going to add a tiny glug of half and half. If you don't have half and half, regular milk will do. The way to get the right consistency of the frosting is to just play with how much sugar versus how much liquid, okay? So try not to add too much of the liquid or you're going to have to add a lot more sugar. Okay, here we go. And you can take a look while it's in there. If it's big clumps, then you need a little splash of liquid. If it's too soupy, you need some more sugar. And this, you'll be glad to know, you can taste. Now, if you are making chocolate frosting, guess what? All you have to do is, in addition to the powdered sugar, you add cocoa powder. Easy peasy. That is so super smooth and nice that it looks perfect. So when things look perfect, then you stop. Okay, you don't want things to go wrong. When it's time to frost the cupcakes, I'll show you how you can make things fancy by either adding a little food coloring to make pretty colors or making a swirls on top. But right now, we're just going to set that aside, and since we're waiting for our cupcakes to cool completely, okay? Gives me time to do a little cleanup. Here they come, right out of the oven. And don't they look fantastic? Look at those nice rounded tops, slightly golden brown. Let's see how many it made. Can you help me count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 delicious cupcakes. Too bad I don't have 10 friends in my house to share them with. I guess we'll have some on the birthday and some the day after. All right, these have to cool, and then our frosting will go on top. So meet me back here when my cupcakes are cool. Okay. Okay, we're back for the final part of the project. I have my vanilla frosting here. Looks nice and smooth and creamy. I have my cool cupcakes. I'll lift it up. Ooh, yes, completely cool. The reason why you need to make sure your cupcakes are cool is because of all the butter in the frosting. If the cupcakes are hot, the butter will melt and make a kind of gooey mess. So you want to make sure they're cool. I also have some food coloring here and some, dino sprinkles, little ball sprinkles, nonpareil, and some green sugar, okay? And I have some bowls, little bowls, so that I can make different colors. Do you know what this is? It's called an offset spatula. Offset spatula. And it's really handy because of the bend that it has. It's really handy for frosting cakes and cupcakes. You know what this is. It's just a regular knife. That'll work if you don't have one of these. But the easy thing to do is to lift the cupcake up from the bottom, grab a scoop of frosting, and then you want to do some twirling with the wrist while you apply the frosting. See how my cupcake is twirling? And that makes a nice little swirl on the top of the cupcake. Now, if you want to add sprinkles or something like that, do it now while the frosting is kind of wet. And I have a little dish here to catch all my loose sprinkles. And we'll put a few of these little round ones on. Ah! That was more than a few, but it looks good. I'll take a little extras and put them on this side so it's even. Now that looks fun, doesn't it? I'll put it over on my cupcake plate. But you may want to add some color to your frosting. So you can take a scoopful, put it in your bowl, and then pick a color. I think because I have green sugar, I'm going to pick green. Ah! No, green? Well, I happen to know that these two colors together, mixed together, will make the color green. Let's make sure it works. So I'm going to add, let's say 3 drops of yellow. 1, 2, 3. And 1 drop of blue. 1 drop of blue. Doop. I'm going to stir it together. Ooh, that didn't make nice spring green. It made a very dark green. I'm just going to swirl it around a little. And that really makes a cool design if you have some of the white and some of the green. Doesn't that look nice? And for this one, I'm going to top it off with a little bit of these green sprinkles too, to make it extra fancy. Okay, shake, 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 shake. Wow. Ooh, I like that one a lot. I think so you can play around. You can play around with the colors. Just don't add too much color, because all those colors mixed together, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a muddy mess. So you can keep going just like that. But I did want to show you how you can make chocolate frosting. So I'm going to take another scoopful here and put it here. And then I'm going to go get some cocoa powder. All right. So, oh, it smells so good. I'm I'm going to get my cocoa powder and just add a big spoonful like that into my vanilla frosting. And I'm going to stir and stir. Look at that! All of a sudden, I don't have vanilla frosting anymore. I have chocolate frosting. We'll mix that offset spatula. And we'll mix that in. And we'll have a couple of vanilla cupcakes that have chocolate frosting. Hold it from the bottom. Wrist action. Yep. And all the way around. You think you get the idea? You can play around using the spatula to do some swirly designs. You can make it super smooth, or you can dab, 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 dab to make it kind of like little peaks and swirls. I like the classics. There, that looks like a perfect cupcake. If you make cupcakes at your house for some birthday, for some special occasion, take a picture, send it to me, and I'll put it on our blog. I hope they come out as delicious and yummy looking as my cupcakes did today. It was easy peasy, right? All right, happy baking!